to Brand and Becoming, the podcast where we explore how leaders build visibility, authority, and opportunity through experience and ideas. I'm Keisha Shape, the LinkedIn Visibility Partner, and I help founders and senior leaders turn their experience into opportunity through visibility, authority, and personal branding. I'm really excited about today's podcast, and I'm sure you will be as well. If you're listening or watching, I'm joined by Clwyd Probert, CEO and founder of White Hat Inbound Marketing, a HubSpot Diamond partner helping businesses grow through data-driven marketing and AI-powered strategies. He spent more than a decade helping organizations navigate digital transformation, and more recently has been developing AI-powered tools that help businesses automate processes, improve research, and generate better insights. Clwyd, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Very pleased to be here. Hi, Keisha. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, I'm pleased you're here as well. And I know we've talked a few times before, but I'm really excited to, I suppose, share more and also talk to you more about kind of what you've been up to and hopefully share some insights and some golden nuggets of information that maybe not other people have thought about as well.
Absolutely. Happy to chat.
Thank you. So for people that don't know you, I know a lot of people in the industry will know you, but for those that maybe haven't came across you yet, are you okay just to, I suppose, let people know a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Sure. No, happy to do that. The problem is I tend to go off on a history tour when I try and talk about where I've come from. But White Hat is a digital marketing agency. We've been going since 2012. But as a marketer myself, I probably go back further than that. I learned my marketing in America. White Hat's a London-based agency, but with global reach. We're a HubSpot partner, as you said. We're working very closely with HubSpot on their AI projects, and we've sort of broken out of the marketing realm more recently with a lot of the AI developments that have come out. So I think there's many different aspects of that we could talk about, whether it's marketing, whether it's the history, whether it's AI. I'm happy to chat about any of that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for that. And I think considering you've been in the industry for so long, and I will ask you more about it, but I bet you've seen a lot throughout the years and also a lot of change with how marketing's done and maybe what worked before is definitely not working now, or maybe some of the same principles apply. Would you say that that's maybe something that you found?
Yeah, I mean, I have seen a lot of changes. I learned my marketing. Actually, I'm a technologist at heart. Back in the day, I was a programmer. I ran programming teams in the city building CRM systems for investment banks. And we got bought out by an American company that had just gone IPO. And as part of that deal, I got shipped over to America. I worked in New York for 3 years on Wall Street.
Wow.
And so I learned my marketing from the Americans. They made me VP of marketing for some reason or other, which I still haven't quite figured out. But I got thrown into the early days of the internet. This was the late 90s. So when the internet was really just taking off, and then the internet bubble boom was happening. But there was no marketing really on the internet at that time. It was old school marketing of sales guys phoning people up and brochures and trade shows and everything else that happened. And when I came back, I started my own business and really learned marketing, digital marketing, the hard way with very early SEO work on Google, which was really fascinating, and the various traumatic Google updates that we went through back in the day. And then moving on, I suppose, into the world of HubSpot, who really invented the vision of inbound marketing, right?
Yeah.
The idea of you're not interrupting people, but you're creating quality content, you're publishing things that people want to read, and that you should therefore be naturally found by people looking for help. And that into quality, right? About doing the right thing, putting out educational pieces, and attracting people to a website rather than, the traditional ads where you'd interrupt people. And so, yeah, I've been through all of that. And the most recent trend, obviously, is AI, both the impact of AI on search itself. So we're seeing a drop off in general Google search because people are going to the chatbots instead of searching on Google, but also the chatbots themselves recommending businesses and people and brands, and that's really hard. So it's everything changes, but everything always has been changing in the world of digital marketing. So
Yeah.
we're used to it by now.
Yeah, that's good. And like you say, it's, I suppose, about evolving and adapting as times are changing. And what I see with companies and businesses, even that I work with on personal branding and kind of building their own visibilities, people who maybe were stuck in the older ways, although I get it, it's easy to get comfortable, are the ones that are finding it harder now. Whereas we all need to be adaptable, whether it's, you know, you and I having our own businesses, or whether you're in sales, or whether you're a founder, or whether you're a leader. It's, I suppose, adapting to, even like you say, the AI and the tools that are available for work, and also for marketing.
I'll give you an example of that. I had a conversation yesterday with the CEO of quite a large SaaS-based organization, and they've seen a drop-off in traffic to their site, and we were advising them about how to get around that, how to improve that. And she was asking me, well, maybe I need to write more authoritative pieces. She was quite a good writer, and she was suggesting that this was one way to get her brand mentioned. And you know, a couple of years ago, I would say absolutely that would be a really good thing. You know, authority content really counts. But in today's AI world, that would just get swamped. There's so much AI content out there, and it's not all rubbish. It's actually a lot of high quality AI content that is now being produced. People don't quite realize the step up in quality that we've seen from these systems. So it's, as a human, it's actually difficult to rise above that. So my recommendation to her is look, just don't fight the tide. There's nothing you can do in that particular area. But you can use your personal brand. You can do things like you can run podcasts. You can be interviewed on things like this. You can create YouTube channels, where you can personally engage with people, and that is gaining a lot of traction in this space, because people crave human connection. And
I was going to say that then. I think you're so right, and that's, well, you gave her the right advice. I think that's something that I would say as well, is because AI is amazing. You and I use it for our own businesses and for clients, but we do need to be human. And I think it's important now more than ever to show we're real, show we're authentic, show we're not perfect. Nobody is perfect, but show just who we are, because it's really easy for someone to publish all the time or publish AI content, which, again, no judgment, because like you say, some of it's great, but the human behind it is kind of what people want to see. And that's why video content works really well, whether it's kind of long form or short form, just so people can see actually you are real. And you know, that it's just a one way to stand out really quickly, especially on LinkedIn, where so many few people are doing it still in terms of posting videos. More are trying to, but I agree with what you told me.
I have one way of explaining this to people, because sometimes they say, oh, well, can't you just throw up an avatar and get it to talk?
I've heard that as well.
Which you can do, right? But think about it like this: is, you know, how robotics is moving forward as well, and we're all going to be, you know, the robot armies are coming. But if you could imagine a robot football team, right? Such a thing will potentially be possible, and they'll probably be better than the humans. But who on earth is going to be interested in watching a whole load of robots play football, right? There is no interest in that, even if they are better. So people want the human engagement, the mistakes, the mumbles, the side discussions that you have in talks like this. And that's entertaining, because people are interested in stories. They're interested in personal history. They're interested in how that relates to them. And I don't think you can automate that, at least not at the moment.
No, I don't. Like you say, it is possible now to get an avatar to talk for you and to like create a video from that. And you can do that if you really want, but I would always also include real videos of you. And I think the main thing that even like CEOs that they struggle with is the thought of being seen online, or kind of getting them out that comfort zone and being seen. But my biggest thing is just being seen all the time, you know, speaking to the business or at events or at conferences. It's literally just the same, just doing it online. And the difference in what you could generate for your business in terms of opportunities, sales, like revenue, just from posting versus not posting. So a CEO posting as them, a CEO not posting, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunity. And it's just the brutal truth from what
Absolutely. And also it's slightly better than it used to be back in the day, because everybody's now familiar of running so many Zoom calls, right? They're on Zoom or Google Meets or Microsoft Teams like every day, and you're more familiar with addressing a wider audience, even if it's an internal audience.
Yeah.
So there's less pushback I'm seeing from CEOs. I think it's more, what's the process? How do I do it? And is it me just talking to camera, or do I interview people? So my recommendation to this CEO was, because she would say, well, I don't have much of a personality, right? I don't have an opinion.
It's the confidence. It comes back to confidence.
Yeah.
Like, can I do it?
It absolutely wasn't true. She is, very intelligent and very opinionated and very entertaining. But sometimes you put yourself down when you're thinking about, even a powerful CEO like that, when you're thinking about putting yourself in front of an audience. But I was saying, well, one easy step around that is to do exactly what we're doing here, is to interview people, to get her customers on camera, to get leading industry people, and just have a conversation about the problems that she addresses and the things that she's working on. And she was comfortable with that.
That's really good. And I think that's it. It's either, usually for me, I see it's a confidence or direction or knowing how to. But then, like you say, if you put the focus into interviewing other people, or kind of, get your clients on board, or get people in the industry on board, and then you end up feeling, you do one, you feel more confident, you do another, you're like, actually, I quite like this. And then you get another, customer reach out because they've seen your video, and so it's kind of a knock-on effect, then, isn't it?
And then the trick from that, and this is where the AI can take over, is you take that content, that interview, you pass it through various AI systems, and you generate multiple different snippets, social media campaigns, email campaigns, content, written discussion pieces, white papers. You can have a carousel of content that comes from that, and that is more and more being automated using AI, using various systems. So that allows you to scale, and that's one of the problems that people have, is one interview or one video is not going to be enough, but you can turn that into 100 different content pieces, which is kind of where the advantage of working with like an agency or someone like yourself, who can give some guidance on how to take it forward beyond the initial chat.
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose, speaking around that with AI, even what it can do for socials, but it is obviously everywhere right now in one form or another.
Yes.
But I'm still seeing and kind of hearing that many leaders still maybe don't know where to start, or kind of, if they're doing the right thing, they want to know what other people are doing. But what would you say, from your experience, everything that you do, what AI readiness actually looks like inside an organization?
Yeah, I think we're seeing there's a dichotomy of usage within even large organizations, small organizations. It's pretty much the same. There's a split between leaders who are super reluctant to go anywhere near this technology for various reasons. One, they might have played with it a year or so ago and thought it was a bit rubbish, and it can't do anything, or it hallucinates, and they haven't really played with the latest tools, or they've tried the free versions of these products and again have not been impressed. So they're missing out on a lot of the capabilities that are available. So that's one. They don't understand what it can do, because they're sort of out of date. These things move so fast. And secondly, they are, and rightly in many cases, scared about the implications of misuse of these tools within an organization. So what information should I be putting in there? If it's proprietary, is it client information? Is it confidential? Will they be training on that? Will they be sharing it? Will it pop out on the internet, 2 weeks later? Can my competitors see what I'm doing? And this is something that is completely addressable through any kind of SaaS system. If you're using an email system, if you're using Google, if you're using all these different tools that companies are comfortable and familiar with using them, then just treat the AI in the same way. Look at the terms and conditions, get your compliance officers to overview it, put proper procedures in place for people to access these tools, determine which tools they can use and which they can't, and what data they can put in and what they can't. These things are guidelines and compliance and policy issues that need to be set up within an organization.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing is that the companies who accept that and push forward are dramatically improving their productivity internally. They're getting things done that would have taken weeks or months previously, right? And it's, even if it saves you like an hour a day, that's a lot of time.
Oh, definitely.
For senior managers and for the C-suite. So I think, one, don't be afraid of it. This technology is not a bubble. It's not going anywhere. It's only going to get more invasive. And secondly, if you still haven't had any experience with it, start playing with it. Look, $20, whatever it is a month, is trivial in business terms. So go for the paid version. Try all the different models, because they leapfrog each other in capabilities. Every time somebody releases, like Google had a moment in the sun a few months ago when everybody says Google's fantastic. Currently, the Anthropic model from called Clwyd.
Yes, yeah.
It's currently my favorite. I love Clwyd. Spend all my time working with Clwyd. But
Clwyd is great, and it's one that a lot of people are using now, aren't they, as well?
So good. It's so good. And then OpenAI just released a model a few days ago that is really, really smart. So there is no one answer to that, because that's probably the most common question I get asked is which model should I use? And it doesn't really matter at this level. They're all really good.
Yeah.
They really genuinely are. Once you get into the details, once you become a bit more of a super user and you start using it for automation and process control and as a driver, as an agent, then you can look at the different skills that the models have. And some of them are currently better than the others. So, for example, Clwyd, they have a system called Clwyd Cowork and Clwyd Code, which are one's for coders and one's for just general admin type stuff. Very, very powerful. You can get it to do things. You can get it to automate a lot of your daily processes. But you can start off with the chatbots. You can just
like you say, the amount of time, if you use it correctly, and you obviously need to work with it and train it and let them know what you want, who you are, that type of thing. But the amount of time and efficiency that you end up saving from using AI, is amazing, isn't it? Compared to even with me writing out things that maybe I used to spend hours or a week on before. Now it get done so much more efficiently.
I'll give you one tip, or one that I can share that even now the majority of people don't do when they use these systems, even if they've got the paid version.
Yeah.
In all of them, you can set up either custom projects or what in GPT, what's called custom GPTs.
Yeah.
In Google, it's called Google Gems. And these are a set of custom instructions that essentially tell the chatbot about you and your business.
Yeah.
So you can train it if you like. It's not really training, but it's telling them what you do, what products and services you have, what kind of jobs that you work on, how you want help, your brand voice. All of these things can be put into these custom instructions. And it allows the system to focus on you and your business and your personality and your goals out of so you don't have to repeat yourself.
That's it. And I think that's where a lot of people, like you say, do go wrong, or that maybe don't realize, do they, that actually you can set it up.
Yeah.
And even if some of the things, I think, some people that I work with, they use it to find out more about their ICP, or kind of they use it, to understand more about kind of who they are actually targeting, what their offer is. But then you can also then save it so that you don't have to keep repeating yourself. So that's a really good bit of advice, actually,
the way I think about it is, without that, you can think of them as really bright interns. It's like you've just hired somebody, off one of the top universities. They've walked in the door. They sit down on the first day. You explain what the business is all about. They do some really great work for you. And then you log in the next day and they say, hello, my name's as though you've never had a conversation with them again. And you're starting from scratch. And it's so frustrating. So that gets over that. It gives them, in AI terms, it's called context. It gives them the background that they need to have a valuable conversation with you.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And yeah, like I say, a lot of people might not even do that or realize that they can do that. So it's really good to go in and save that, so that, you know, it makes your life a lot easier than repeating yourself or having to re-explain every time. And also you get the most out of AI then too. So
Yes.
It becomes a lot more efficient and personalized as well. And even things like, I suppose, like saving the settings of things like, you know, if you're working mainly with people within the UK, like do you want to speak in a language that's for British people, or are you working in the
English,
US or globally?
UK grammar, absolutely. You can put
Yeah,
all,
so
if you're asking it to create content, even if it's like emails or things like that, you can put your brand voice and your brand guidelines as file attachments into those systems. So it has your color schemes, it has your tone of voice, it has your the way that you can even give it examples of like a batch of emails that you've written in the past. Show it what good looks like.
Yeah.
And then it'll use that as a template. And you can just dump all of that in the files, in the context, everything else. The more that you can give it, the better result it's going to be. Because otherwise, the counter to that is, if you don't, you end up with what most people think of as AI, which is very generic, very bright, but generic advice, you know?
Yeah.
But the more specific you can be, the better results you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, totally. And I know from mine and your conversations, and I'd like to kind of learn more about it, but I hopefully teach other people a little bit more about what you've been up to, that AI has helped your agency really kind of increase website traffic. And I think a significant portion of that now coming through chatbots. So can you talk us through, I suppose, a bit more about what you've done and I suppose how that's working for you?
No, I'm happy to do that. It's something that people have been speaking about for a while as a problem. So if we look at the problem that we're trying to solve first, is, as I mentioned before, people are seeing a drop off in traffic from Google search.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that people are more naturally going to a chatbot to get an answer. Yeah. So if you can get an answer from a chatbot that actually helps you, why would you go to Google and get 10 links and then go and look at that website and then try and figure out the answer from the web? You know, it's just, it's the old school way of doing things that's not needed anymore. The result of that for businesses and for brands is that their organic traffic falls away. Now, that was expected and predicted, and we're seeing a gradual slow drop off in traffic. That's fine. The upside, the other way of looking at this, is if the chatbot itself is asked a question like, I want to buy a particular product. Can you advise me of who's the best in the market for this? Can you give me some recommendations or can you put a table together of the top players in this space?
Yeah.
You absolutely want your brand to be mentioned in that table, and ideally you want it to sit at the top, because if the user gets that recommendation from a chatbot and then they subsequently go to that company, to the website, and engage, they're much more likely to convert into a customer, dramatically so. I mean, HubSpot, we were working with HubSpot in California, in San Francisco last year, and they did a study where they themselves had quite a dramatic drop off in traffic to their website. But they were getting more. They put a lot of time and effort into making their site friendly for the chatbots, and they were getting an increase in chatbot traffic, still below their previous numbers, but their business was going up, even if the traffic was going down. And what they found was that every single referral coming from a chatbot was 6 times more likely to convert into business than a normal Google search.
Because someone had already gone through that process of searching, finding, then clicking on.
And the chatbots are seen as trusted sources. So it's like a friend referring a business to you. You're much more likely to follow through and do business with that. So that's one thing. That's the reason we were looking at this. And if you look at the industry, what's happening in the industry at the moment, there's lots of people talking about how to do this. Nobody's even quite given it a proper name yet. It's called either AEO or GEO. There's various different EEOs, depending on who you talk to, we call it AEO, but answer engine optimization. It's like as search engine optimization.
Yeah, I see.
But for the chatbots. And there is now a formula that you can follow, or at least we've been experimenting over the last 6 months or so to refine this. There's lots of technical stuff behind this, and there's no point going into the technical markups that you do. But even from a simple design perspective, the way to think about it is, if you're thinking about a blog article as a typical way that you would write something to be found online, the way you do it now is that needs to have a particular structure. So it needs to start with an answer to the question that's being asked. And that needs to come right at the very beginning. And then the rest of the article needs to flesh that out in a lot more detail. Each of those sections need to be into like bite-sized chunks. So each one itself is like a mini answer to a question, so that the chatbot can like pick it up and learn from it and then squirt it back out again as an answer. There needs to be a structured FAQ, frequently asked questions section at the end. And then the other thing that's different from the previous way of doing things, and there's a couple of other things just to throw in while I remember, is that brand mentions now are really, really important within that article. So previously we used to say, well, you shouldn't sell yourself too much. You should teach, you should educate, right? Just naturally people would understand. But no, when you, excuse me, when you talking about chatbots, you really need to push the brand in their face.
Yeah.
So each little mini question has to explain why your brand is a good fit for the answer to that question. Because otherwise they'll
don't assume it to know, like you have to really explain.
Well, the point is, if you don't, they will just steal your answer and regurgitate it back out.
Yeah, okay.
If you put your brand in, they will include your brand in the answer.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll say, oh, this is the way it's done. And by the way, White Hat has a particular service that can help you with that.
Right. I get that.
So that's it. And then the other thing that what we found is that data, up-to-date data is really important, statistics inside the article. So for example, as I said, we've been going since 2012. So we had articles going back that long, right? 10 years or more of and then these were high quality articles. We hired professional copywriters. I wrote many of them myself. They were good content, but they were out of date, right?
Yeah.
So and this gets back to your question. I'm sorry, I'm taking a while to answer.
It's good. It's good to hear. Yeah.
Over the last 3 months, beginning of the start of December of last year, we've rewritten every single article that we had on the site going back, like I said, to 2012. 450 articles we've written in 3 months. Everyone has been deeply researched, following this particular structure, with internal references, external references, and everything else. And that's all we've done to the site. We've essentially, and we've used our own AI tools to do that. So every single article, if you go to the White Hat site, is AI written. But I would
that's
say,
really cool.
But I would say it's crazy to say, but those articles are better than I could have written myself.
Well, I think, but obviously it's used what you had, then enhanced it, hasn't it? So it's kind of used the foundations
with research. So it would go off and read 500, 600 articles just to write that one article. It doesn't just do a quick Google search. It spends an hour doing research, and then matching it with our buyer personas, the buyer's journey stage, the particular problems and goals. It knows all about that. And then the results, this is the point, right? We were getting 500-600 visits a month from our site, which is pretty average for a marketing agency, about that. 500 or 600 a month. We're now getting over 12,000.
What? That's incredible.
And we're ranking for very high terms like inbound marketing agency. In the UK, we're number one for that. For SEO agencies, for PPC, for all of these different things that we do, we're on the first page on position 1, 2, or 3. So
that's incredible.
A massive, and that's purely content. There's no backlink building, and there's no dodgy,
but you're creating it for as times have moved on. Like you've adapted what you've needed to, and I think that's 100%. The most powerful message there. You've not just left it from before.
And the thing with AI is it allows you to iterate really fast.
Yeah.
So when we started that process, we had an idea of how it would work. And 1 month in, the idea changed and we refined it, right?
Yeah.
And we were using another model and it got better. So we carried on. And then the month after that, we changed it again. And by the time we get to the end of this process, we will start from the beginning again and rewrite it all. Now, can you imagine rewriting your entire content map every 3 months? Crazy amount of work. But with an automated system, you can do that. And you can also feed in the analytics, the Google Search Console data, the quality data, the clicks, all of that into that system so that it can adjust the content map as it goes. So the website almost becomes a live thing, constantly changing and updating based on what people are searching, based on click-through rates, on where they're going, what is signing up, what is not working, what is working.
Yeah.
You suddenly can do a ton of stuff that you would have a team of marketers doing previously.
Yeah.
And that's the vision that we had literally 2 years ago when the whole ChatGPT circus started. We had the vision of as a marketing agent, we do a lot of things for companies, right? We write content, we do strategy, we emails, build websites, run social, all of those different things. I think all of that can be done by an AI now. And we wanted to give small, medium-sized businesses the power that the large corporations have when dealing with a large agency like ourselves. So now we can actually take on smaller clients. Right? We can do it effectively. We can actually do it better than we could in the past. We can do it cheaper and we can do it faster. Which is just crazy. The pushback I'm getting is just convincing people about the quality, about work. And that's why I'm excited when I see like case studies on our own site where we can just point to it and say, look, read the articles, see the content and see the results.
That's it. And I think the key thing is you're not just gonna, the biggest thing for me anyway is you have to, as a human, train it and be able to put in the right information and prompt it. And so it's not like you're just putting in, anything and getting out anything. You're checking that it's all correct. You're not just posting the first thing you see. Like you've done a lot of, and that takes a skill in itself to know how to train, know what to ask for, know what to prompt, know what to exclude. So I think that's where I think a lot of the expertise and skills come into it. It's not like you're just asking for anything and publishing anything. You're checking it as well. So
it's quite funny, actually, though. You think humans are good at this stuff. I'm getting quite a lot of kickback from my own AI about the quality of the previous content. I mean, literally, I was working on it this morning, and I got it to do a content review, looking at the pillar page structure, and it said, "Oh, this is just bloated content. This is." It didn't actually say it was. It didn't say it was rubbish, but it kind of that was the underlying comment. It's like, there's no statistics with this. There's no verification. You're just making claims without backing it up. We need to rewrite this.
Yeah.
So
but sometimes it's good, and I don't think everyone thinks about it like that. Is something that I do with my stuff as well is I'll put something in that I'm either an article or something that I'm working on. I'll say, roast this. Like, what do you think? Because actually, like, otherwise, if you don't ask for their opinion or ask them to research, then actually you won't know. So put your stuff in.
The worst thing you can have is a sycophantic AI.
Yeah, that's So I think how you're doing it is amazing, and like I say, something that the other businesses and companies could kind of consider doing, because that kind of numbers that you just shared, I didn't even realize it was that crazy different. So between 500 and 600 website visits.
I mean, to be clear, I'm not going to promise that for everybody, because it's not that we can't do it. It's just that as an agency, we were able to go overboard in terms of the volume and the time scale.
But it shows that what is possible by doing it.
I'll give you a comparable example. And HubSpot are the gold standard in terms of content creation, right? They've been doing this for years. At their height, when they had a team of content writers, they had 20 people working on content. And they were getting a massive amount of SEO traffic. They were ranking for everything. But they were creating 5 articles a day with that team of 20 professional writers and researchers and everything else. So that's a big team. And those people, the best in the industry, that's what they were doing. 5 articles a day, 20 people. we were generating 5 articles a day with one part-time person.
Wow.
Yeah, and we've got that result in that short period of
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So we're able to match the content, and I would say the quality, but probably not the style, because a human writer is still better. But certainly the quality, the depth, the structure, everything else, and the volume using an automated system.
Yeah, amazing.
Which is
well, I think that's a really good example, and like you say, it's kind of that 20 versus one part-time person's a big difference.
Yeah.
And I know when we've kind of spoken, and I would like to kind of suppose hear more about it. Now I'm realising so much that I even didn't realise just how much is possible from what you're doing and what you have done. But from what we've talked about before, you've built AI tools to support research and insight gathering for organisations, haven't you? So can you give an example of how you've done that and how that works?
Again, this is the way people don't quite understand what the AIs are capable of.
Yeah.
And even ourselves, we don't understand them, because sometimes you've got your head down, you're working on a project, you do what's in front of you, and you're losing track of the capabilities of the system. So I'll give you an example. We were working with a large 100 million revenue company that sells into the NHS. So they're well established, they've been going for years, but they have no AI experience at all. They've got like one person occasionally uses a chatbot, and that's it.
Oh, wow.
So we were going in and advising them on essentially working with different parts of the business, specifically starting with the sales team. So we were helping with email outreach, things like tender analysis, where they could take these huge documents and get them analyzed quickly. That was the goal. And as part of this, we did obviously an analysis of who their target market is. And we were looking at the NHS trusts, and there's many trusts across the UK. They're complicated. They've all got their different ways of dealing with stuff. So I was asking them questions about these trusts, and they were answering them and say, well, I'd have to look that up, or, this is in my head, or I'd have to check with this person about that information because they're the expert on this particular trust.
Yeah.
So we had to create like an email sequence to do some outreach. And I was thinking, well, we could automate this. What can we do some research automatically to go to the trust websites?
Yeah.
And we were meeting them every 2 weeks. And literally in the gap between meeting them and the next meeting, I had built a research crawl system, which went to 250 different trust websites, extracted the latest statistics from all of those sites, logged into various NHS portals, created accounts, downloaded the latest from there, collated the whole thing into a dashboard, and then presented it back up to them so that the sales team could have up-to-date information, which was refreshed weekly with things like hiring trends, waiting list numbers, statistics, in a really easy graphical way, and they could drill down into all of these different things. Each link verified and checked and cross-checked. I built that entire system because over the weekend I think, well, that's a cool idea. I wonder if I can do this.
Yeah.
And
so you gave them that they were saying, oh, we need to check this or check that, and you thought, well, actually, I'll just do it for you. And
I'll just do it for you.
How long did that take you then? Did you say it was over a weekend?
It took me over the weekend to put the initial pilot, the proof of concept in place.
Yeah.
I presented it to them, and they said, that's brilliant, but can you change this, and this? And it would be great if you could have, this feature, which I hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
So within a week, I'd had a working system that actually, you think about it the other way around. There are systems out there that provide that intelligence, and you pay thousands of pounds a week.
Yeah,
for a subscription to be able
that sort of stuff all the time, because
yeah,
intelligence and data and research is, so key, isn't it, to being able to sell effectively?
And I think this is one of so people, like I said, to go back to the question, people are thinking about AI as a chatbot.
Yeah.
But this wasn't a chat. This started out as a conversation with one of the AI agents that said, is it possible to build this? Can you go and find out what information is available on the web? Is it in any standard format? And it would go off and do the research, and it would come back and say, yes, this is here, this is available. And then the next stage from that is, can you build me a product requirement document that lists the architecture of how this might look, the sites where we, and so it gave me like a 20-page document, which is normally what you would give to a development team to go off and build something.
Yeah.
I gave that to Clwyd Code, which was the AI coding tool, and said, just build that.
So good.
So to get back to this question of programming, right? So it depends on who you talk to, but the way of looking at this, there used to be, or there are multiple different jobs that people are involved with when they build a program. There's the coder himself who has to actually build the thing. There's like a data architect who has to design the technical stuff. There's a designer who has to make it look pretty. And there's a project manager who has to hold the whole thing together. What you're seeing is that all of that is now merging into this job role called builder.
Yeah.
And a builder could be anybody. It could be you or me. So in that scenario, I didn't write a single line of code. Now, I am historically a coder. So I could have opened that stuff up. I wasn't scared by it. But literally, I didn't open up my code editor. I did not write a single line of code. It was all prompting the system. So if a business user like head of finance or head of marketing, head of sales has an idea, they're at the systems are at the stage now where they can build it themselves.
So good. I think that example just shows the power of it, doesn't it? And shows that
it's scary. It's scary. Yeah. And then of course we can monetize that. We can say, okay, somebody needs to look after it and maintain it, and you need a computer to run it on somewhere, and if the website breaks, it needs to be updated. So there is a maintenance issue, because people get confused sometimes about, oh well, can't we just get rid of HubSpot and get rid of Salesforce and just build it our own, right?
You do get those questions, don't you? Oh, I can just do it all now. Like you said, no, you still need some things in place.
Yeah, so that's not going to happen anytime soon, because who's going to maintain it? Who's going to check all the security issues around it? But for things like that, where you need a dashboard, you need a solution, you need just something that normally you just would have had to have a dev team build, and nobody would give you the budget to build that. Now you can do it yourself. So we're all builders.
Well, I love that, and I think that it just shows that, because I see that all the time, and when working with various teams or sales teams, it's like, oh, I'm not sure, let me get back to you on that, or let me find that information out. Whereas actually you were like, you know what, I'll just go and create something, because actually you could just go and find that out and then give them up-to-date information. Or
even prototyping. Say you don't want to build it yourself, right? So you don't have the time, you don't feel comfortable with the tech. You can throw something together that I need it to look something like this, and you can get a quite far down the road by just prompting, and then give that to your team and say, look, this is the kind of thing I want it to do. Now, it doesn't all do all the databasey stuff and login stuff and everything else it needs, but this is kind of what I want. Whereas before, you try and explain it to somebody and they don't have a clue what you're talking about, right? But now you can literally prototype it very, very quickly and iterate. And if that doesn't work, can you make it blue? Can you make that screen bigger? Can you do it? You can do it yourself. And then you just give it off to somebody to build out for you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's really good. So you can go with actually an example rather than, keep coming back the wrong thing. And so I wanted to ask you another question, and because I hear it a lot, and I bet you do as well, but there's lots of discussion around AI and the future of jobs and kind of careers. From what you're seeing with companies that you work with, how is AI changing the way teams actually operate? And are you seeing any shift in roles, or what's your view, I suppose, on AI and careers and job shifts?
I don't think it's hit the market yet in terms of real impact. If you look at America, then that's where you're going to get forward data from. There's just so many more companies out there. A lot of them are more advanced in terms of their AI usage. So there's a lot of news stories about people firing people en masse because of AI. There was one recently with the CEO of Box, who fired like 4,000 people and said it was because of AI. We don't need all those people anymore. There's some pushback on that to say, well, that's not necessarily true. He just overhired in the first place and was just using it as an excuse. But I think as you go forward, you are going to see an impact on jobs. And there are certain ones which are more susceptible to AI usage. For example, I mentioned coders, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. You like Claude
Yes.
as an AI, right?
Yeah.
So we follow the Claude company and Anthropic very closely. We listen to podcasts where their tech team talk about, and the guy who wrote Claude Code, he's a very prolific programmer, very smart guy. Since November, he hasn't written a single line of code himself.
Wow.
Claude itself is writing all of his code.
That's amazing.
100%, he says now.
Yeah.
He said at the beginning of the year, a year ago, it was maybe 10%, 5%, and it just accelerated as the models got better and better. By December, November, December last year, it's 100%. That doesn't mean the job of coder goes away.
Yeah.
He's still employed, right?
Yeah. Just gets changed, I suppose, or refined, or
he's doing 10 times the amount of work. He's deciding what the system codes.
yes.
And he's reviewing it, checking it, giving it guidelines, all of these different things. So the productivity of that team has gone up 200%, right? Which is huge. Yeah. So what you're going to see is a shift in tasks that people do. A lot of the things that are called like busy work, filling in forms, moving stuff around, is going to go away, and it's going to be automated. It doesn't mean that person becomes unemployed. It means that they can step a level up, and they can do more challenging work, more interesting work in many ways. Nobody wants to do the boring stuff.
Yeah.
So I think in the short term, there's going to be a churn of tasks that people are going to increasingly hand over to the AIs.
Yeah.
As the AI systems get more advanced, that is going to impact the job market. And what you're starting to see in America is essentially a hiring freeze. So it's not as though people are going to be laid off en masse, but there's going to be fewer of them hired. So fewer people coming into the workplace. And where it gets really worrying is where you have actually high, intellectually very challenging jobs like lawyer, accountant, business consultant, investment banking, all of those things where you spend a lot of time through an apprenticeship learning the skills, learning your roles.
Yeah.
Or you can become a senior person in that. The problem is that at the moment, the AI can do the junior level job.
Yeah.
So if you've ever spoken to anybody who's become an investment banker, they'll tell you how hard it is in the early days because they just work you 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And you're just going through paperwork, you're cross-referencing things, you're learning, but it's grunt work and it's horrible and it's boring. That can be done by an AI. But if you have an AI to do that, how do you get the skills to become a senior person?
Yeah, that's true.
It's cutting out the training from the low levels. So I think that's going to happen in law. I think it's going to happen in accountancy, certainly with consultancy. So anything where you're just sitting at a computer doing work is going to be threatened. And there are companies who are actively training based on jobs. So they're taking a particular job that somebody does. They're hiring like investment bankers at 100K, 200K a year just to sit in front of the AIs and train them about what they do.
Wow. Okay.
And if you think about what's going to come out at the other end of that is an AI system that can do that job.
Yeah. I suppose the way to be employable from what I see, and I guess, I don't know if you agree, but is to be adaptable, to get familiar with AI, to be as good as you can at that role and adapt to the way things are moving. Because if you don't adapt, that's when you'll be, in my opinion, left behind. Whereas if you adapt and get better.
Completely agree. I mean, if you want to be the person who's working with the AI, who is the 200%, percentage performance improver. And also what we're finding is that people who are early adopters and who are doing that become the trusted advisors within a company. They're the people that other people turn to.
Yeah.
So then you can actually train teams, you can get pilots going, you can make yourself invaluable because you're the AI expert.
Yeah, so
within that
definitely
sector.
a good way to go about it instead of worrying about your job. Just get used to AI.
I mean,
Start
look,
your own research.
nobody knows what's going to come. The problem is that the future is a lot closer than it used to be.
Yeah.
People used to talk about 30 years,
Now
50
it's a
years in
lot
the
quicker,
future.
isn't it?
Now it's 3 or 5, right?
Yeah.
So you can divide whatever number the future was by 10, and
Yeah.
that's kind of where we are.
Totally.
5 years is not that long, considering we all remember COVID, and that was
true.
about that sort of time ago, right? So if you project that forward, there's going to be dramatic changes.
Yeah. I have a little segment now. It's called brand truth versus brand myth. So I'm going to give you 3 statements, and if you tell me whether you think they're a myth or a truth, if you can. So statement 1 is AI will replace most marketing and sales jobs within the next 5 years. Is that a myth or a truth?
I think it's 100% true, and we're working hard to actually make that happen. We're working hard to put ourselves out of work, which is crazy.
Yeah. Okay. 2 is the organizations getting the most value from AI are the ones investing in training and change management. Is that a brand myth or brand truth?
Completely true. There's a lot of companies who've purchased AI seats, given them to everybody, and then done nothing about it. And then they've complained that they've got no return on investment because they haven't put the training and support in place.
Yeah.
So it's much better to go in with a small number, work with a pilot, but train people up and get them really working on specific use cases.
Yeah.
Training is so important.
Yeah. And the last one is AI works best when it supports human expertise rather than replacing it. Is that a myth or a truth in your opinion?
I think it's very true. It's a multiplier. That's one way of looking at it. So if you're good at your job, you're going to be 10 times better with an AI tool. I think it was Harvard that did a study on this, where they compared a team and an individual on their own, and a team with AI and an individual with AI. And whenever you put the AI in the mix, it always outperformed both the individual and the teams without the AI systems. So they're definitely a help.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation. My final question for you today is, if you could go back to the very start of your career and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be? I know that's quite a very difficult question to answer, but have you got any advice maybe for your younger self?
It's such a difficult thing because my career has bounced around all over the place. I think I would say don't worry too much about making the wrong mistake. It's fine to go off and make mistakes because you've always got time to try something else. I've had like 3 or 4 different careers over the years, and all of them have been fun in one way or another. Don't worry about it, I think, would be my advice.
I love that. And I suppose for you, even with what you've done, you've pivoted, you've tried new things, and there's, even if you want to do one thing and then you change your mind, that's okay. Just apply yourself, and
And with AI, you can do that. If you want to learn something new, you can use it as a tutor. You can help educate yourself. I'll always be learning, I think, is a motto.
That's a really good one. And I think at any level that you're at, isn't it? Whether you're just starting out your career, or you're at university, or you're a manager, or you're kind of got CEO, or you've got your own business, there's always things that we can learn every single day. Because there's so much just changing, and so many things are possible now, which is exciting as well at the same time.
It is. It's the most exciting fun I've had for years. I mean, it's crazy as I'm working to put myself out of a job, which is also scary at the same time.
Well, you're doing a great job, and I love even the example, like you say, of what you've been doing with all the blog articles, and it just shows, doesn't it? I think you've had those things in place, but now you've just upgraded them, you've enhanced them, you're kind of making
we're just rolling it out now. We're making it happen, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, definitely. And before we finish, if people listening would like to connect with you or learn more about you, what you do and your work and how you can help them, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Well, you can see my name if you do a search on LinkedIn for that, for Clwyd. You'll find me. There's very few other Clwyds out there. The website is whitehat-seo.co.uk, and all our contact details are on there.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Clwyd. I really, really enjoyed this conversation and learned a lot from it myself, so I'm sure other people will also. And best of luck with everything. And really great to hear about all your success.
Thank you so much.
The way that you're helping other companies as well.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. And see you soon, everyone, for the next episode. And again, appreciate you coming on today, Clwyd, and speak to you soon. Bye-bye.